Hello, stage 5, the Queen stage, and I made a big mistake on the grade that cost me my best result. I only realized it way too late. "38 kilometers, 586 meters of climbing, and 5 moments that would decide everything. Jarvis KOM reverse, dirty suppressor, the epic KOM section to the jungle, that sneaky drag into Titan's Grove, and then the grade. And after 34.5 kilometers, I made that big mistake. But I will tell you everything about it during the climb of the grade. For the setup I didn't take any risks, same choice as my recon. Fully upgraded Canyon Aeroad with the NV 4.5 Pro wheels. Fast and ready for pain. My plan was simple: survive the first 2 climbs, Jarvis KOM reverse, and then the epic KOM section towards the jungle, because getting dropped before the grade would have been a disaster. On Jarvis, things stayed relatively calm. The pace was solid, but not all out. I felt like most riders were still saving their bullets for later. I stayed sharp near the front the entire time. No risks, no surprises. And over the top, I wanted to be right at the front, so I could recover as quickly as possible on the descent. On the Jarvis descent, it was time to refuel. Drink early, drink often, because the efforts were about to stack up fast. And no stop at the Banjo Cafe, unfortunately. The dirty suppressor came next. Short, gravel, not the hardest climb, but dangerous if you lose focus. It seems like we didn't lose anyone on the Jarvis KOM, so we're competing with a strong group today. On the dirty suppressor, I stayed locked in near the front, keeping a close eye on my draft, because I knew what was coming. Another climber, and later I would have to fight the guys built for this. So every watt I could save here might be the difference at the end. We are now closing in on the epic KOM section towards the jungle. I could feel it. This was a problem, because this climb doesn't suit me. Short, steep ramps into that long drag onto the bridge. This is where I've been dropped before, over and over again. But this time, I refused to let that happen. I had to make it onto that bridge with the group, no matter how deep I had to go. Then came the climb itself. And boy oh boy, I hit the first section out of the saddle, controlled but aggressive enough to stay in position. After that, it was pure survival. Out of the second corner, it was hurting, but I'm stronger now. A few months ago, I would have lost the wheel here. This time, I held on. And when we hit that bridge, I was still there, and still in a solid position. That was a big moment, because I knew I wasn't getting dropped here. From that point on, it was all about staying with the group until the bypass. And the numbers backed it up too. Later on Strava, I saw a new PR. 2 seconds faster than the one I set during the Tour de Zwift in February. Proof that the training and the weight loss are paying off. And with my trip to south of Spain coming up in early April, that's exactly the kind of sign you want to see. But for now, the focus was simple: recover on the bypass, maximize the draft, and refuel. On the descent, I would finally be able to breathe again. For a moment I actually enjoyed it, because my first objective was done. I survived Jarvis and the Epic KOM section. Now I had a real shot at the grade. What surprised me though was the size of the group. Still over 50 riders. After 2 tough climbs, that says everything about the level in these Zwift games. And with the GC on the line, everyone just digs that little bit deeper. But it wasn't over yet, that small trek into Titan's Grove. One of those moments where you can't switch off. I've been caught out there before, got dropped just like that. Not this time, I stayed sharp right at the front, no mistakes. One last little effort before we turned at the LAX turnaround and headed towards Coast Road. As soon as we rolled onto Coast Road, it was time to think ahead. This was the moment I took my gel, exactly as planned. One last shot of energy, saved for where it really mattered, the grade. I also pulled up my ride stats, just to get a quick check on where I stood. Power, speed, average watts per kilo, all the numbers that help you stay in control. And honestly, if you're not using this screen yet, it's worth it. I made a short video about it last weekend, only 4 minutes. And once you know how to set it up, it gives you a much better feel for your effort during a race like this. Because this section may look easy on paper, but that's exactly what makes it dangerous. It's long, mostly flat, and visually not the most exciting part of the route, but this kind of road where races quietly drift towards a final showdown. Nobody really wanted to do anything crazy here. The pace stayed controlled, the group stayed big, and you could feel that everyone was already thinking about the same thing, the grade. So for me, it was all about staying efficient. Keep drinking, stay in the draft, don't waste energy, don't lose focus, and above all, don't make a mistake before the decisive moment even begins. And somewhere on this stretch, my thoughts also drifted a little bit beyond Zwift. Because at the beginning of April, I'm heading to Mojácar in the south of Spain. And I'm honestly really looking forward to it. I feel like I'm getting closer to where I want to be. The legs are improving, the numbers are moving in the right direction, and if I can lose a few more kilos before that trip, I know I will feel even better once the road starts going uphill for real. But it's not just about the riding. It will also be a great reunion with the guys I was there with last year. We had an amazing week back then, and going back there now feeling fitter and more prepared, that just makes it even more exciting. But for now, all of that could wait, because the group was still together, everyone was still holding something back, and the closer we got, the more you could feel it. The calm before the storm. The big finale was coming. And then it was time. The final climb had begun. The gel had done its job. I still had something left in the legs, and the plan was simple. Ride the grade around FTP and survive for as long as possible. The first 500 meters actually felt good. I got into the climb well, stayed close to the front, and for a moment I felt like I was right where I needed to be. But after that first half kilometer, reality kicked in. The better climbers started to go, and I knew I had to let them. This wasn't the moment to explode, so I settled into my own pace, trying not to blow up my engine too early. And then I started noticing something strange. Feather power-ups everywhere, and not just once. The same riders seemed to be using them again and again. I remember thinking, what? That can't be right. And then, about 2 kilometers from the top, it finally hit me. Every arch was giving out a feather, which meant I had already been climbing for almost 2 kilometers without using the biggest advantage on the climb. What a stupid mistake. Honestly, I could have hit myself. I never picked it up during the recon, and I genuinely hadn't seen it mentioned anywhere. But by then, the damage was already done. That mistake definitely cost me places. At the same time though, I was still somewhere around the top 30 on pure legs alone. And considering the situation, I could still be proud of that. So from that point on, it became better late than never. I started using the feathers too, and that at least helped me limit the damage. I managed to hold position around 28, and even rode back toward a small group ahead. But it turned into a complete yo-yo. Nobody was really getting away anymore. At that point everyone had the same advantage. Everyone was suffering, and everyone looked evenly matched. So riding away was no longer really an option. It became a fight to hold what I still had. I stayed around 28th place, but riders from behind were coming back fast. In the final corner, I played my last card. I hit the feather and emptied absolutely everything that was left. That final effort was enough to secure 28th place. Before the race, I would have signed for a top 30 immediately. Especially when you look at the kind of riders you're up against here. The winner weighs around 55 kilos. I'm around 80. So losing less than a minute and a half on a climb like this, that's nothing to be ashamed of. And there was more good news. I also set a new PR on the grade. 1 minute and 44 seconds faster than my previous best. And that previous effort was basically a fresh FTP attempt. This time I averaged 335 watts on the climb after a seriously hard race. So yes, that's the result I'm incredibly happy with. Because more and more it feels like I'm riding at the best level I've ever had on the bike. That's it for stage 5, the Queen stage. One big mistake, but also real progress. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got a lot more coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next ride.